West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
$8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Friday, October 24th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Bill bringing up a great point. Great point. Could you imagine? Oh, I want it so bad right now.
I got a kernel of an idea in your mind, didn't
Yes.
I? It didn't.
And now I'm like, at first I was like, this investment the Democrats are making.
Yeah.
Denver wants to host the next Democrat National Convention, and then Bill just goes, could you imagine the opportunities we would have?
Yes.
I'm like,
You imagine the
oh my
content,
gosh.
the videos.
Because I went to the DNC in Chicago.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to give me immediate passes, right? So like
No,
Channel
no.
9, 4, 7, they're all there. They're all interviewing inside. No one's giving me immediate passes. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'll go hang out with Palestinian protesters.
Oh, it's
So I
fantastic.
wandered around
Yeah.
with them for 3 days, which was a life learning experience.
Yes, it was. Something you'll take with you forever.
Yeah, right. But could you imagine if we would absolutely have to get Pat?
Yes,
They would have to. We're the top talk radio show in Denver.
Have to. And the idea of just wandering around, and this isn't about...
Chad right now. Hold
Yeah.
on, Chad is going. The chair of the Democrat Party is like, wait, hold on. Maybe we shouldn't bring it here.
Yeah, nope, stop that. Because one, I'm just a loose cannon. And then two, the content that you create. Yeah, this is going to be so much fun.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, this is going to be good. I hope they come here. I really do.
Denver, this is the headline out of West, where Denver wants to host the next Democrat National Convention. Local Democrat leaders are pushing for Denver to host the party's national convention in 2028. It's not that far away.
No, not at all.
Every 4 years, the Democrat National Convention is held in a different city, gathering thousands of delegates from across the nation to select the party's presidential and vice presidential nominees. It's a total, it's a circus. It's an absolutely beautiful, wonderful, wild circus. I went to the 2008 RNC convention.
Yeah.
We were promoting a film at the time, and walking around all that, I was in the room when Sarah Palin walked in, and like the power and the emotion in that room was crazy. Like, these are absolute circuses, and part of me is torn because, yes, this will continue to solidify Colorado as a deep blue state, but man, to have a front row seat to that circus.
Oh, see, I'm already in the back of my mind. You're like, I'm thinking, do you think they'd let me get inside and interview people wearing one of those inflatable costumes? And if so,
right.
what one?
And a funny
that's
hat
what I'm thinking.
and all
Yes,
that stuff?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, do you think like a Tyrannosaurus costume? Can I do that? And then what would my name be? And then would they interview? I mean, that's where I'm going with this. We are going to have so much fun if this happens. Yeah.
And you know all the little awkward, funny videos of how nobody can dance because we're all political nerds.
Absolutely.
White, black,
Oh, yeah.
Hispanic, nobody can dance because you spent your energy investing in politics, not actually anything
Oh my God.
culturally
Okay,
relevant.
that is brilliant. Okay, if this happens and they come here, this is what we're going to do. We are going to host spontaneous line dances to see if anybody can participate with us. We're just going to see what we can do. We're going to grab some insiders, maybe some fans of the show, and bring them with us, maybe outside, and try to get people to see. We're going to test rhythm. We're going to have rhythm tests. This is, oh my God, there's so many things we're going to do.
All right, so Shad, he's the chair of the Democrat
Yes.
Party here in Colorado. I've tried to get him on the show. I've said, look, we have progressives on the show all the time. They have a great experience, okay?
We're fair.
Shad, I'm going to clip this particular moment right here. I'm going to send it to you, okay? Because, Shad, I think you and I could work on this.
Oh, yeah.
There's an absolute financial vested interest on my part for the light
us.
just turned off.
I know. See, you're like, uh-oh.
Maybe the Lord's like,
no.
don't do this, Jeff.
Yeah.
But to have the DNC here, oh my goodness.
I know. Yeah.
Because I go down and interview the crazies at the No Kings party
Yes.
rallies. Imagine an entire city of them for like a week.
Oh, I know. And the fact is giving the Denver spin on it. You're not bringing somebody from outside that's going to come here. It's going to be someone that's going to know, born and raised in Denver, to understand how crazy this is. Not only that, my friend, what I'm excited about as it happens for you is that you're the guy that hosted Mitt Romney's event at Red Rocks. So there is another level of understanding that you've got around this that, this is going to be so much fun.
That was 13 years ago yesterday, by the way. Was that up at Red Rocks?
Oh, man.
Shad, chair of the Colorado Democrat Party, confirming that Denver is exploring hosting the convention. The city is among other hopefuls, including New Orleans and San Antonio. There's no better way for a party to find its path back to power than by returning to the state that nominated President Barack Obama 20 years ago, the Greek Columns. That was at Mile High Stadium. In 2024, Colorado showed the nation how Democrats can win by organizing and shifting dozens of rural and red counties towards our party in an election where the rest of the country moved to the right. We've accomplished this with strong, authentic candidates, an across-the-board focus on policies that save people money.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, we're saving so much money in Colorado. The only reason we're saving any money is because you ran out of it, Denver and Colorado government.
Nice one. Well done.
The Constitution says you can't deficit spend. They want to strengthen freedom and relentless year-round organizing. Shad declines to reveal any specifics, including whether Denver has submitted a formal bid to the DNC. He says that party leaders are at the beginning of the process and have been collaborating with Mayor Mikey on the idea. Now, Jones saying that the reason they may want to do this is because they're coronating Jared Polis as the next presidential nominee.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
That guy is at the end of his career unless he goes to Senate. The Colorado Democrats don't make the leap nationally. Remember when Hickenlooper and Bennett ran for president and barely didn't even get a single percentage point?
Yeah, you need, and okay, this is a fair critique, I believe, because I try to be very self-aware of my own flaws. But I think we all, listening to the Jeff and Bill show, can agree that Jared Polis has a charisma deficiency. If he was a character in Dungeons and Dragons, his charisma value would be 1 or 2. He just doesn't have that. Now, you may not like Gavin Newsom. Dude's got charisma. You can agree or disagree on his politics, but you can't deny man's smooth. Trump has charisma in buckets. Regardless of your political opinion on him, you have to acknowledge that in front of a crowd with people, he's really, really good. So that's the problem Jared Polis has. Now, Shad, here's my advice to you personally. Just come in closer to the radio here. I want to have you lean into some of the great words of our current president when you're approaching the idea of bringing the DNC here, Chad. Harken back to earlier when Donald Trump rose and said, fight, fight, fight. That's what I want you to do, Chad. Fight for this. Remember those words of Donald Trump. You may not have liked him at the time. You like him now. Bring this thing here. Oh, my God. Please, 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 please bring this here.
Breadman, are they holding the DNC along with the gay games?
Oh, my God. Okay, wait. Oh, bread man. Okay, wait. Okay. If this happens, okay, Jeff. Okay, this is okay. Shh. Okay, we're just you and I, Jeff. We're just talking here. If they do this thing and they bring it here, I'm gonna have to figure out if there's a way that I could dress up as some sort of official representative of like a fake sport that's gonna go on at the gay games. Okay,
but Bill, what kind of sports do they do at the gay games you want to be a part of?
It's a matter of we're going to invent a particular sport that obviously wouldn't be there, but is completely and totally ridiculous, and we'll have to see. And again, yes, I know I'm being facetious, tongue-in-cheek, and some of it may not necessarily be. Some people may be offended by it, but I'm a little bit like that. I'm a little bit rough around the edges at times. But, oh my gosh, the idea of having some sort of a fake representative there at some sort of, a fake participant at the games, and then have politicians and stuff take pictures with me. Oh my God, just stop. Stop. This is too good.
Doug's willing to
too
bring
good.
the DNC to Denver in hopes that it'll actually clean up the city.
Hey, look, a benefit. That's fantastic. I love that. Oh, my God.
Shad, call the show. We're
Yes,
all in
absolutely.
for helping you because of the ability to create content. I do not want Colorado to be forever blue.
No.
But oh my goodness, to bring all these Democrats to Colorado and just give me a camera and a microphone and just let me go for a week down there.
Yeah.
I think we could showcase we could showcase the Democrats' finest.
Oh, yes, we could. We could.
And I don't even need to get combative. People are like, you just let them talk and it's
Yes.
so entertaining.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep.
Yeah,
That's
you're looking at
all
all
it
the
is.
conversations, and I'm just thinking, what sort of costumes can I wear? For me, it's going to be daily Halloween. Every day, we're going to do something different.
All right, Shad, we're all in.
Yes,
with
we
you.
are.
All right. Now it's time, though, for
the
news
news
and
thing.
comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning. TGIF 45 and mostly cloudy.
Welcome
Expecting
to
a high-
Denver, home of the gay games and the DNC convention.
I have so many sports for the gay games, man. It's just running through my mind right now. Unfortunately, you guys, man, you got me started. Now I can't concentrate. We should expect a high of 63 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, inflation is up slightly less than expected. The annual inflation rate hit 3% in September, according to the numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics out this morning. This was an increase of 0.3% for the month.
Mr. President, if you are declaring war against these cartels and Congress is likely to approve of that process, why not just ask for a declaration of war?
I think we know the answer to that. DJT and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth disseminated another narco-terrorist boat in the Caribbean overnight affiliated with Tren de Aragua.
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead. Okay.
Yeah. That's a nip it. 47 leaving D.C. today for a multi-day trip to Asia, which includes a high-stakes meeting in South Korea with Chinese President Xi. He's coming.
That. Why am I glad you're here, Monica? Because don't be surprised if the WNBA is next on his list.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Stephen A. Smith says DJT's coming after everybody. I guess. Now, I'll say this, that WNBA games do look fixed. Every possession looks fixed. Denver's King of the Hill, Park Hills, Chauncey Billups, GW High School, CU, Nuggets, world champion with Detroit, head coach of the Blazers, arrested by the FBA, as you well know already, for teaming up with the mafia to rip off wealthy dudes who wanted to play poker with Mr. Big Shot in Vegas. All don't lie, but Chauncey may not know the mafia was involved. Stay tuned. Here's the guy, once again, back to the guy I love, who said that he played hoops at Winston-Salem State in his memoir, in his book, and then he said he didn't, and then he went back and said he did. It's just good fun. I have to keep on.
Because when you've got all of these protests that have been going out there and people that have been protesting against him and what have you, this man is coming. He's coming. And I've been saying it for a long time. And to me, this is the latest nugget of evidence that we're talking about right here. That's not to question the legitimacy of the case. We don't know.
I think the DJT and the FBI should go after Stephen A. Smith for saying that he hit 17 straight threes in a college tryout in his memoir. That's who they need to go after. The Nuggets tipped off the new season last night at Golden State, hoping that it was on the up and up.
Gordon, he's been hot all night. Got another one. 10th three-pointer for Gordon. Denver takes the lead.
But the Warriors beat the Nuggets 137-131 in OT, in overtime. Great game. Aaron Gordon scored 50 points, 10 threes, 7 fewer than Stephen A. Smith in college, and 8 rebounds in the loss. It's day 24 of the Schumer shutdown. Democrats are calling on Republicans to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies before they expire at the end of the year. Republicans say they won't negotiate until the shutdown is ended. Hello. Desiree Townsend lays out her theory, and I see it. I'm right there with her. The insurance companies.
So I found out these people, even though the government shut down, because of the ACA, their payments every month are coming directly from the Treasury to their bank accounts. So the insurance companies, United Healthcare, Aetna, Molina, Kaiser, they are getting paid right now, mandatory pay every single month, while the federal workers and the military get nothing. And so now it's finally making sense. This has nothing to do with health care. It has to do with dark money from the billion-dollar insurance companies. Because keep in mind, if they lose the ACA credits for next year, they're not going to get any of that money. They won't get any of that money. So even though the tax credits are tax credits, what actually happens is these tax credits get paid on behalf of you, the insured, and they go.
Yep, it makes sense to me. And if the insurance companies don't get their cheese, they won't fund the elections for the Democrats. Oh man, all this stuff, man, it's just so dark. The president has a good friend who's going to pay the military during the Schumer shutdown. He or she wrote a $130 million check. Wow. Hurricanes over the Avalanche last night. In hockey downtown, 5-4. World Series begins tonight. They're still playing baseball. It's game 1 between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. First pitch at 6 o'clock. And we have the Broncos, 5-2. They play host to the 3-3 Dallas Cowboys on Sunday, and the Chargers beat the Vikings last night. As the AFC West starts to get heated now after week 7, week 8. 43 in Parker, 42 in Golden, 45 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Clouds will be on the increase today as we have a small low-pressure system that's coming off the west coast. It'll move right across Colorado. It won't do much, but it will bring clouds and a few showers possible to the area today through early tonight. Highs mid to upper 60s, lows tonight in the 40s. Might have a few lingering showers Friday morning, then partly cloudy by afternoon. Mild, low to mid 60s. Pleasant, mostly sunny. Highs upper 60s to near 70 Saturday. Increasing clouds Sunday. Trending colder, maybe some showers Sunday night into early Monday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Tucker Carlson saying all that matters is having children. That's from an article at our friends at Daily Citizen. That's one of the resources over at Focus on the Family by Paul Batura. Cultural provocateur and podcaster Tucker Carlson sparred with students at Indiana University earlier this week as part of Turning Point USA's America Comeback Tour. The late Charlie Kirk was originally scheduled to appear on the Bloomington campus. The former Fox News host shared his perspective on a wide variety of topics raised by audience members, including abortion. After a student expressed support for it, Carlson wasn't shy or subtle in his disagreement. Abortion is murder, Tucker said, obviously, and everyone knows that. And people are so into it because it's the same ritual that every civilization ever been studied has engaged in, which is human sacrifice. Carlson went on to mention that both the Inca and Viking civilizations practiced forms of human sacrifice as a means to appease the gods. The Incas, who lived in South America between the 1400s and mid-1500s, called it, I can't pronounce this, and considered that deaths to be honorable. Abortion is the most crazed level of fanaticism I've ever seen. That's dark. It's the saddest thing that could ever happen, observed Carlson. Given his college audience, the podcaster then pivoted to contrast the tragedy of abortion with the beauty and benefit of children. I'm telling you this as a young person with the greatest sincerity. I mean this as a father of 4. The only thing that matters is not your stupid job at Citibank. Trust me, it doesn't matter. All that matters is having children, and your children are all that will matter to you. I don't care what you say. I've lived it. I know that's true. Carlson went on to say that he's known plenty of women who've had abortions. I don't know one who's happy about it. You know, they're just really sad about it, and it's awful, he stated, because it's not something that people take joy in. Seriously flawed attempts focused on the family rights to prove otherwise have garnered lots of media attention, campaigns like Shout Your Abortion. But for the most part, people do regret their abortions. The student at Indiana University this week debating Carlson claimed abortion was a human right. It's not a human right to kill people, dude, quipped Tucker. Sorry. In fact, killing people is the enemy of human rights. The human right is to live. It's not a person, countered the student. Why don't we show a video of an abortion? Let's see if you can sit through it and you could feel sick in your stomach. And you would feel sick in your stomach. Then Tucker added, no one wants to talk about the details ever. And the most horrific thing in life, including a lot that happens in war, including transgender surgeries, definitely including abortion, it's all couched in abstract ideological terms, which are designed to prevent you from facing what's actually happening. A human being is being beheaded with a knife inside a woman. And if that beheading didn't take place, that would be a person. We don't get to kill people simply because they're in the way, period. And if you can kill children who are in the way, you can kill the elderly who are in the way, and in the end, they'll be killing us who are in the way. You can't do that. Despite Charlie Kirk's assassination, robust debates on college campuses continue, thanks to Turning Point USA and its bold, blunt, and sometimes even brazen guest hosts, especially Tucker Carlson. Do you agree with Tucker, Bill, that all that matters ultimately is having children, raising your family?
No. I disagree with him because I believe that he's projecting. He's talking about what may be important to him. And he's trying to then tell everybody else that is what has to be important to them. And there are people that I know that just do not want to be parents. They're not bad people. They just don't want to. And a thrust of putting them into that situation, I think would be bad. And these are people that have, again, taken the steps and they have not gone through abortion or everything else, things like that. They just are not wanting to have kids. And I think that is an acceptable choice. The question I've got for Tucker is, if all that matters is having kids, then is Elon Musk a hero? Is that the thing that we're talking about? And I have a harder time with it because I remember growing up in the 80s and the big bane on society, not the big one, but one of the banes and drags on society at that time was the idea of welfare queens who were just popping out kids in order to get that government check. Now, they were having kids. They were there raising the family, but I doubt that's what Tucker's looking for. I think he's making a really, really bad series of examples. I think I understand what he's trying to say. I just think he's not going about it in the most eloquent way, nor has he really thought his argument through. The next question I would have is, how many kids do you have?
He said 4.
Yeah. So why doesn't he have 8? Why not 12? Well, I mean, we've seen those large families that had reality series. If all that matters is having kids, why did he stop at 4? Has he taken any measures to not have any more than 4? I've got a lot of questions about his own personal convictions around that, because we know that before we knew more about biology and before we knew more about birth control, families had large numbers of kids. So we go back to farming and ranching, huge families. 4 would be considered small. It would be, 6, 7, 8. So that's the idea. There's a when we were over visiting in Scotland, there was a queen that I forgot. Oh God, I can't remember the number of babies that she had, but over the course of her life, it accounted to be pregnant for 16 years continuously. Now, again, she didn't have all the babies back to back, but given the number of pregnancies over the term of her life, she was pregnant for 16 years. That's a lot. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm just saying that if that's the example, is that really what it is? I think he's being too simplistic in his example. That's what I think it is.
So I think there's context here that's important, and it's in his term, right? So in his phrasing here, that as a father of 4, he says, the only thing that matters is not your stupid job at Citibank. Trust me, it doesn't matter. So I think what he's trying to analyze are the cultural pressures upon young people right now. And I ran into this working with young people for 8 years at a university. You come out of university, you've obviously worked towards a degree, you want to go get a job. I think you should. What I often advised young people to do was to move to LA, New York, or DC. Go to one of the centerpieces of cultural engagement, whether it's finance in New York, policy in DC, or entertainment in Los Angeles, and throw yourself into your job for about 4 years. Go 100 miles an hour, work the 80-hour work weeks, do whatever necessary, work the weekends, go, because a number of reasons. One, you're going to be competing at the highest levels, and most of us don't live in those big cities. We move back to other cities, so compete at the highest levels. You'll be able to take that expertise back to wherever you live. Secondly, you're going to develop great friendships because everybody starts somewhere. I've had friends that are U.S. senators now because we were interns or we were young working in D.C. together and we built friendships. So that's another great aspect in your careers. You're going to build friends with people that become titans in their industry, and those friendships will pay out in lots of different ways in your career. So you want to have those. And then third, that season of life is so short, right? And I think you should raise kids and have a family. You're not going to have the freedom to devote 80 hours a week to your job, nor should you, okay? But I think what's happened in our culture is this kind of this loving, or I guess this the word I'm trying to look for is escaping me right now, but this idealization. Yes, there's the word. Okay. This idealization of pouring your life into a career when you're 22, 23, 24, and you're going to work for the law firm 80 hours a week, that is a lot of fun and very cool, and you can advance yourself. When you're 45 and 50 and 55, working 80 hours a week for the law firm is not going to be as fulfilling as it was when you were just starting out. You're going to find more meaning in raising the next generation, building a family, than you will devoting 80 hours a week to your job. Because here's part of the reality. When you die, your job replaces you. Your job will replace you within a week of your death. You are not that important to the company, to the law firm, to the business that you are sacrificing your life for. You will be replaced and forgotten within a week. So what should you invest yourself in? Invest yourself in people. Build healthy families. Take time. this is something that was very personal to us that we had to work through, was when your kids are in soccer age, for instance, take the time to coach the soccer games. That's a short window of life that you can invest in your kids and pour into them because that is more meaningful. So what I think Tucker's speaking into is a society that idolizes career success, that's willing to abort living human beings in order to achieve that career success, and reminding people that within a week you're going to be replaced. So what matters, what ultimately matters, is having children, and your children are all that will matter to you, he says. I don't care what you say. I've lived it. I know it's true. And I think after what he went through with Fox and being, all that stuff, you can agree with him or you can disagree with what he said on Fox, but he was at the pinnacle of cable television, the top show, and they pushed him out. I'm sure he lost a lot of friends, and he found himself looking around at that moment, which a lot of us will go through in our careers, where we feel abandoned or betrayed, and look around and go, at the end, all that really mattered was my family and the people with me. That's what I think he was saying.
Yeah, I could see some of it, but and of course we understand that he was impacted by the early divorce of his parents and his mom taking off as well. So I think there's a little bit of that is in there. The issue I still have is that our society is not set up, nor is it geared towards making it easier for you to raise a family. And what I mean by that are things like how expensive it is to even have a child. Just talking about the birth, the cost of the birth is astronomical. Then we're talking about childcare, cost of college. You look at how much time do we give people for maternity leave. We still tell women, you've heard me say this over and over again, we still tell women, Jeff, in our society in 2025 that we are paying you less because you are going to leave us for 3 months to have a baby. For a 3-month decision in which you are not going to be at the office, you are now put behind everybody else at your pay grade for the rest of your natural life. That is the system we have set up. We don't want to give extended vacations. We don't give people a lot of personal time off and take care of families. So we do not make that as a society a priority. And then we are surprised when women make this decision. I agree that the overwhelming majority of women that have made the decision to have an abortion are not happy about it, that it is an emotional and psychological scar. I don't know anyone who had to make that choice that was celebrating it, that was excited about it, and wasn't personally torn up inside over being faced with this decision. But it had to do with the other sociological pressures around them that they felt constrained. And that even includes people that have had children before. So they were already mothers. And that's what we need to come to grips with. But we have no interest or intention to change it. And what worries me is that we believe that simply by passing a law to make abortion illegal, it fixes all the causation that happens beforehand. It doesn't. And I get really mad when I hear lawmakers and other people saying, well, if these women weren't just such hoes, why don't you ladies just keep your legs closed? What? Hang on. You're ignoring many of their socioeconomic reasons that this happens in the first place. We even had a sitting member of Congress a number of years ago who said that they thought, without any medical knowledge or history, and again, a dude, thought that when a woman was raped, that the body could just expel the sperm and not get pregnant. That is phenomenally obtuse and stupid. Phenomenally. There's not a single thing, but that's what that person believed, and they're the ones that get to make the laws. So I think there are layers of problems, and Tucker just declaring it, I don't think that he is addressing any of the other mechanisms that put people in that situation. We also should talk about how you cannot, in so many situations, be a single income earner family anymore. It is incredibly difficult. So how are we expecting these men, these women to raise these families if our society isn't set up for a structure to support that? That's the problem. We got to fix ourselves before we start complaining about it.
I don't think that's the problem.
Okay.
I mean, it is a problem. It's not the problem.
Then what is the problem?
That you kill an innocent person.
No, but the causation is what I'm talking about. The reasons that person got the choice.
To me, that's always secondary.
No,
we don't run around with any other murder-related thing going, before we stop the murder, let's go back and figure out the causes.
No, we do that all the time.
You can actually declare that the crime, that the act itself is a crime, that it shouldn't be done to another human being, and then you can go figure out the causes. But what I've often found is like this. Well, we're going to throw all these other things out there to ignore the core issue. The core issue is that it's a human being that's murdered by another human being. Stop that. Then I'm happy to go. We can talk about all this. I'm not saying we can't talk about all this other stuff, but to me, it always seems like an obfuscation of the actual issue, which is the murder of an innocent human being.
But making murder illegal didn't stop murder. And when I know. That's exactly my answer. No.
You're going to make the argument then that we shouldn't make murder legal?
Nope, that's not it at all. The issue being that when you then go to court and you try to try a murder, one of the things that is most important is the causation, is the motive behind it. And you have, and again, you have different levels of murder based on levels of motive. The causation has to be, and the causation has to be considered and is part of the discussion because that's what comes first. Everything that happens first happened prior to and then caused the action that led to the murder.
Imagine if the argument was, well, I don't know if we should murder people because there might be different levels of murder. No. That's how it sounds to me.
I understand.
I'm sitting there going, no, how about we get to the core issue, which is we don't take the life of an innocent human being.
Let me approach it another way. There's a difference between manslaughter and murder because of motive, because of predetermination. That's why we have even gotten to two different levels of murder.
Who cares? I mean, you sit there going, I want to go back to the core issue. You keep going, well, but there could be this and there could be that. Yeah, 70 kids today and 70 kids tomorrow and 70 kids on Sunday are going to be murdered in the state of Colorado because of abortion. And the answer is like, well, there could be a difference between manslaughter and murder. Yeah. No, I mean, there's different levels, but that doesn't change the actual issue at stake.
Why are there different levels? Why?
Why? Because there's different acts.
No, not different acts, different motives. Involuntary manslaughter is different than you don't have any premeditation. Different motives. That's the important part in this. And what I'm saying is by simply making
motive?
Yeah.
Is the important part in the abortion conversation.
Right, hang on. Let me finish. No, motive is what we're talking about with the murder side of things. And that's why we have given two different levels. In fact, there's several different levels. That's the reason why is the causation inside of the act. That's the issue. And what I'm saying is by simply declaring abortion illegal, it doesn't stop it, it doesn't prevent it, nor does it take away any of the causal factors that lead to those decisions. The Philippines is a wonderful example of this. They've outlawed abortion, and they are a more Christian society than we are. They have higher levels of religiosity, higher levels of church attendance. They also have over 1 million illegal abortions a year by this very religious, very church-going society where it is illegal. And it still happens. The causation...
You don't think it reduces? You don't think making something illegal reduces its act?
Hang on. That's a different argument. What I'm talking about... I understand the idea of reduction, but what I'm talking about is you still, in that society, have 1 million abortions. And if you go after some of the causal factors, that is more likely to reduce them. In fact, we have seen a reduction of some of these causal factors in European countries. And even though abortion is legal, they have seen reductions in the rate of abortion because they have addressed some of these society problems that exist in order to put women in the position where they feel like this is the only choice they have. I don't know a single woman who has made the choice for abortion that was the first thing they wanted to do. I don't know a single person that said it was the only thing.
I've seen plenty of stories of people who use abortion as birth control.
Yeah, I know. But what's the percentage of that, though?
I don't care. One is bad. It's a murder. Stop it.
But but again, it seems that you're coming to it as if this is just a menu and they're just choosing it because it's the best option. It's not. They don't come to this and celebrate it, and you're ignoring the reasons why they get there. And if you ignore the reasons why they get there, it's not going to stop.
I'm not ignoring the reasons. I'm just saying.
You're saying they don't matter.
No, it's because
you're saying they don't matter.
I think you're complicating the situation in an effort to distract from the core question. Is it murder?
Depends on when the abortion takes place. It would be me. I'm on a gradient scale of that because early on in the pregnancy, I have a hard time saying that that's necessarily a baby per se. The other part in that is biology, because we know based on statistics that somewhere between 40 to 50% of fertilized eggs never implant in the woman. So the woman's body sloughs off the egg. So the woman's body is doing that already.
I mean, you're kind of dancing around the question.
No, I'm not.
So when does life begin?
I think that depends on who you are and where you are. I would have one opinion that would be different than others.
Why not answer it?
What?
When does life begin?
I'm not sure I can draw a line yet on that one as far as the instance that life necessarily begins, because again, it depends on how we're defining what life is. And so I think it's more difficult than moment of conception or this date or first breath of life, because our Jewish brothers and sisters define it as once they pass through the birth canal.
I don't care what they say. What do you say?
Depends. I'm on a gradient scale. I would, for me, if I was going to talk about a abortion line, it would be somewhere around 16 weeks is where I would go right now.
Why?
Yeah. Because some of medical viability, some based on gestational age, some based on development of the baby, but some of that is also, there are some other things that are involved in there.
But we have to write a law. This is what it is about. This isn't just us debating random stuff. We have to write a law, and you have to put into law when a life begins, because if it's after 16 weeks, according to the way Bill said it, well, then it becomes the death of a human being. Prior to that, okay, well, why? See, there's no the lack of clarity that pro-choice people have on these issues is ultimately rooted in the fact that they just want it as a convenient option to deal with what they consider an inconvenience in their life. And it is a human being at the moment of conception. It is crystal clear that should be put into law. It deserves protection and rights. And that, as Tucker said, is the foundation of human rights, in my opinion. All right, we got phone lines coming in. It is hot. We haven't even gotten to our first break.
Oh, crap.
Welcome to the Jeff and Bill Show, where we debate the hot topics. You're welcome to join us, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Tucker Carlson saying that all that matters ultimately is having children. That job at Citibank, he calls stupid. Trust me, it doesn't matter. All that matters is having children, and your children are all that will matter to you. Do you agree? Let's go to the phone lines. Frank Evergreen. Good morning, Frank. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. I love this topic because it's near and dear to my heart. In my old age now, my biggest regret is not having more children, and and unfortunately we lost 3 in the process of having ours. And it's a couple facts that I think get muddled for some reason anytime we talk about this. Fact number 1: abortion is killing a baby. Fact number 2: life and the human spirit begins when the sperm and egg unite. Fact number 3: Christians, mostly, I guess I'm going to speak for mostly Catholics now, are anti-abortion. Joe Biden, a Catholic, was denied communion because he was pro-abortion, pro-killing babies. And the one point I think that Billy made this morning that I totally agree with is that we don't support the having babies, support the family. We don't support either of those as a nation, as a society. We did in the past, and it's a break-fix situation. We broke it over the last century or so because the church was the center of that. Now the church is to so many people, the church is evil. So we broke it, so now we had to fix it somehow. Germany does pretty well in this. They do support the woman and the family during pregnancy, and I think the fix here might be to do some more of that too. But what happens in our system is the argument always goes between the conservatives and liberals in terms of capitalism, take responsibility for yourself kind of thing, and giving away stuff. The left always says, well, we got to give more stuff away. The right says you got to be more of a capitalist and work hard and all that. One last point is that I don't know if you heard Vice President J.D. Vance say during one of his speeches that we need to get, as a society, need to get back to being able to a family be able to live on one income. I totally agree with that. And how we do it, I have no idea. But
I do think that part of it is you have to lower your living expectations. I saw John Stossel did a great report on the housing expectations are just getting kind of out of whack with people's realities, with their financial realities. People were able to afford a home when it was more modest, when it was a basic ranch home, those types of things. But now the expectation is that your home is going to be so nice, and that, of course, is going to be more expensive. So I think part of it's mitigating expectations. But, Frank, what do you think is going to happen? I do think there's a split that's happening here. Young conservative men are going and agreeing with Tucker that a family is really important. They want to build a family. Young progressive women are going, no, I want the career. I want to have the financial success. How is that going to play itself out?
Well, I don't think at this time in history we're going to be able to put everything back in the bottle, so to speak. It's a fact. I'm making no judgment whatsoever. My wife has a career. I have a career. My kids, my daughters all have careers. It's their choice, but there's got to, we're never going to get back to the point where, women stay home all day and have 9 kids. And, you should never say never, but it's not likely we'll get back to that point. But we do need to get to a point where we support families having babies and make it less of a struggle. And not only that, but, we also have, the system has been broken. In the sense that I think Billy mentioned, single mothers, and he said something about, keeping your legs closed or whatever, which, I heard that said back when I was 30 years old, and, the conservatives would say that, and they were kind of mean. But the truth is, when you're pregnant, you're pregnant, and it doesn't matter how it happened or anything else. You need to take care of the people. And
Frank, I got a question
again,
for you.
it gets,
only because we're running out of time. So when you and Jeff were talking about the idea of the women making choice to chase their career, question I have is, how do these women have babies if they can't afford to take care of them, which would be the career? How do we do it? Tell you what, hang on, man. We're going to talk about this when we come back, okay?
And we've got Paul Payson coming up in the 9 o'clock hour.
Real quickly, I'll talk to you when you get back after this break, Frank, okay?
All right, we'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.